Delhi to Pune in
the Porsche 911 and the Macan.
It is the greatest sports car in the world. And
Some cattle with their bells going dang,
yeah,
dang, dang,
in the
dang.
distance, ding, ding, ding. Yeah.
There's that saying, right? It's better to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow.
Yeah, I don't want to drive. I'm done. I just want to head back.
If you want the car to sometimes make sound when you want it to, you have to pay more money for it.
Yeah, it didn't need anything apart from
There was one thing. There's one thing that it needed.
February has been an intense month of road trips at Evo India. We did 2 big drives, Delhi to Pune in
the Porsche 911 and the Macan.
And then we drove from Kashmir to Kanyakumari in
2 Tata Curve EVs.
So 2 big drives, and that's what we're talking about. Welcome to the Evo India podcast. I'm Sirish Chandran.
I'm Aatish Mishra, assistant editor at Evo India.
And we are talking about the drive that we did in the Porsche 911 with the Macan Turbo Electric as a support car from Delhi to Pune from the long way around via Jaisalmer, the Bharatmala road, going down to the Statue of Unity. And immediately after that, we followed up with an even bigger drive with the Tata Curve.EB from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, where we sit the new electric K2K record. So this podcast is going to be about road trips. Aatish, you were with me on the 911 and the Macan road trip. Let's talk about the premise. Why did we do that?
Well, there were 2 premises to this. One was we wanted to prove that the Porsche 911 is truly the everyday sports car, and it can be the everyday sports car in the Indian context. You know, when we say, oh, it's the everyday sports car, I think the common assumption is okay in Europe. You know, because Europe roads are good, you can drive it everywhere, it's not mad like it is in India. But can it deal with Indian conditions just as well as it does with European conditions? So that's what we set out to prove. And the best way to do that was a road trip. The second premise was Porsche needed to transport the car from Delhi to Pune. And they rang us up and said, can you do it? And we said, heck yeah, like who says no to that? You know?
So the 911, okay, we all read about being the everyday sports car. Indian conditions are different. Our roads, our traffic, potholes, speed breakers, the whole deal.
The heat, the dust.
The dust, so how does a sports car perform when subject to all of that? And also importantly, is it torture for man and machine?
Yeah.
Because with these cars, they are proper sports cars. They're hardcore. After 7 days on the road, over all kinds of roads, would they be squeaks, rattles? Would people just did not know? Would be like, I don't want to drive. I'm done. I just want to head back. So those were the main questions. And turns out the 911 can be an everyday sports car even here in India.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time on the road. So now, starting off from Delhi, we thought we'd spend the night in Delhi, then leave the next day in the morning.
That was the original plan.
That was the original plan. Then we figured out that, no, the next day's drive from Delhi all the way to Jaisalmer is going to be really long, especially since we are going to be shooting. So because of shooting, filming, all of that. We
had to charge the Macan.
Yeah, and for support. So we needed a support car. Okay, not just for the fact that, no, if anything were to happen, no, you need some sort of assistance, but we also have the photo and video crews.
That was the main thing,
in the 911.
Exactly. We had how many guys with us? We had a photographer, we had
a videographer
and a drone guy. So that's 3 people. Immediately, they're not going to fit in the 911.
Yeah.
You know, so you had the 911, I was in the Macan, and I had 3 photo crew people with me. So
we had the Macan Turbo Electric, again another new car. Both these cars were actually launched in Delhi at the Bharat Mobility Show. So they had to be sent down, brought back down to the Mumbai-Pune region, where most of the automotive press is based.
Yeah. And when we picked up the car at the Delhi dealership, they weren't delivery mileage. Huh? It must have had 20 kilometers or 30 kilometers on the Odo when we picked them up.
Yeah. A secret here, Porsche, when they send cars for like media fleets, press fleets, they have an additional check. It's called the press fleet check or something like that. So these cars are running. It's not like, no, you might point out that, no, you're taking a brand new car and doing it. No, you should have some sympathy, mechanical sympathy, run in the cars. These cars are running. They're pre-running and then they're sent because the media is not going to run in the cars. You know, so those cars are running. So it's like a car that is properly checked and everything. It's not, I'm not saying it's a tweaked car. It's not, but it's a properly checked car and it's a running car. So with delivery mileage, so brand spanking new cars. They should have put a film on the windscreen. We will talk about that later. Some things for India should be done, but we'll talk about that later. Keep watching. So brand new cars. We set off from Delhi. We thought we'll spend the night at Narnaul.
Yeah, so original plan was to stay in Delhi, pick up the car, stay in Delhi, and then do Delhi Jaisalmer in a day. Then we realized this is too ambitious. Let's start in the evening. So we finished our shoot at the dealership, I think by 6 o'clock.
Yeah, by sundown.
Yeah, 6 o'clock we finished and we set out, and the target was Narnaul. And we'd ideally cover 200 kilometers or so in the evening, and then start the next morning and do the rest of the distance to Jaisalmer. Except we reached Narnaul and every single hotel had a wedding going on and we just couldn't get rooms.
Yep.
You know, so we reached Narnaul, I think it was 8:39 at night, maybe 10.
Yeah.
You know, and we stopped for dinner before that, all of that. We reached Narnaul, no rooms. We were like, shit, now what? We can't just like stay at a CD motel because we need proper parking for these cars. And also we were tired. We wanted to sleep well. You don't want to stay in an uncomfortable place. So we pushed on. We drove through the night till I think 1 a.m.
I think 1. We reached Jhunjhunu.
Jhunjhunu, yeah.
Where apparently all the Jhunjhunwalas come from.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a friend of mine who's a Jhunjhunwala. He said that all the Jhunjhunwalas come from Jhunjhunu.
That makes sense. I didn't make that connection.
Yeah. So we found a charger there,
a
60 kilowatt charger.
Yeah.
That hotel had one room.
Yeah. Again, wedding.
Wedding. So the Macan was there. I stayed at that hotel with the Macan. You guys went off with the 911 to the other hotel where we got 2 more rooms. Next morning we caught up. I made a boo-boo. I put the Macan for charging. I thought how much charge will take. I said $1,500. Went out to sleep.
You've been driving too many Nexons and Curves, huh?
Yeah.
Small batteries.
Yeah. So next morning, woke up, went to the car and said, oh shoot, it's not at 100%, but it's some 70% or 65% or something. Yeah. I thought, oh, maybe the charger tripped in the night. I said, no, bloody chargers and this, that. After they figured out that was actually I only put $1,500 worth of charging money into the car.
So the Macan has a 100 kilowatt hour battery, and if you use the common rate, which is around 20 rupees a unit, a full charge would be a little more than 2,000 rupees with tax and everything. It's about 2,300 rupees.
Yeah. So things you learn on a road trip.
Yeah, I mean,
which you should know. You should not be learning that on a road trip. So next day, we headed off to Jaisalmer.
Yeah.
You cross the Jhunjhunu area, then the roads start opening up, then you get into Rajasthan.
Yeah, the Rajasthan roads are fabulous, no?
Yeah. Then even the places where it is not dual carriageway, where it's single carriageway, the roads are really nice. And people keep asking that where in India can you find roads to drive these fast cars? Now, I'm not talking about driving these cars at 300 kilometers an hour. Yeah. I'm just talking about driving these cars enthusiastically. So where are these nice roads to drive?
And where a random pothole won't catch you out, where you won't damage your wheel because you've just come around a corner and there's a big hole in the road.
Yeah.
You know?
And the thing is that you get out and drive, and you will stumble upon good roads because our highway network and the infrastructure is growing at such a massive pace. We keep doing these drives, and every time we head out, we find a new road. Every time we're like, oh, where are we? A lot of times, people tell us, take this road, and it's not even there on Google Maps. Google Maps hasn't yet mapped it. And these are like fantastic roads. New roads are... So some of the concrete expressways are bumpy, but a lot of these new roads, which are tarmac, are very well surfaced. Yeah. There will be that odd jump, odd place that you'll take off, so you have to still be careful, but there are roads to drive these cars, and Rajasthan is blessed with some really, really nice roads.
And the road quality is also really good. You know, I don't know what it is, whether it's the lack of rain that maybe causes less damage, or they've just got better quality of roads,
or maybe just less corruption in the road building. I don't know, but they just generally tend to have much. And don't forget, it gets very, very hot.
Yeah.
So we see roads that are melted, and because of the heat, it's all over the place. It's wavy roads. They have more heat than anywhere else in the country, and that doesn't seem to affect their roads. So I don't know what it is, but anyway, roads are great. We reached Jaisalmer at night. After dark. Obviously shooting along the way. We got some fantastic images. I think we should play out some of the images. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you should just check out some of Avdut's images. They're fantastic. The setting sun, these two cars, the light bars.
And they look so alien in these conditions. You know, you're used to seeing a 911 in a city. You're used to seeing it on the Sea Link. You're used to seeing it in Gurgaon. You're used to seeing it on the Sunday morning cars and coffee run. You're not used to seeing it 700 kilometers out of civilization on a random highway in the middle of nowhere,
which is populated mainly by trucks and boleros.
Exactly. And everybody stopped and
Yep,
stared
yeah.
because nobody expected
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, we stopped for tea as the sun was setting, and everybody. And I don't mean to demean women or anything like that, but everybody wanted pictures with the car.
yeah,
Yeah.
and good. Because,
And they were generally nice people also.
Yeah.
Sometimes people tend to get a little aggro,
Hmm.
but generally nice people who were excited about seeing these cool cars, kids looking at it.
Yeah.
You catch them young and watch them grow, and it's great. It's a good thing to spread the joy. Obviously, when people ask how much this costs, like, I would cringe when I would say, like, no, 2 crores is like, it's
But
a
it is
hell
what
of a
it
lot of
is.
money, but yeah, it
Yeah.
is. How much is the Macan Turbo?
So ex-showroom 1.9 with the options that it had.
1.9, and this one was 2.6 with all the loading. In fact, we did a reel on the options on these two cars. So
Yeah.
there is no concept of a base 911.
Yeah, I guess.
This is the base 911, the
Yeah.
Carrera. This is not even the Carrera S.
Correct.
But there is nothing like a base 911, and nobody buys a so
Unspect.
1.99 crores is the ex-showroom price. Nobody buys a 1.99 crore 911 because you have to put on options. So like nose lift, right? Extremely important in the Indian context.
An immediate plus 5 lakhs.
5 lakhs, 6 lakhs,
4
something.
and a half to
Okay,
5 lakhs,
whatever
yeah.
that. Then the paint was some 9 lakhs or something.
7.5.
7.5 lakhs.
Yeah.
The Bose sound system, that was optional.
Yeah.
The lights, those were optional. That aero kit. Now, what do you think of the aero kit?
Yeah. Okay. It looks nice in the pictures. But if I had to spec my 911, it would be without an aero kit.
Yeah, because to me, that big wing is
Yeah.
a GT car.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't. The regular 911 doesn't need it. It's got 379, 380 horsepower.
Yeah.
Okay, 380 bhp. You don't need a big wing stick.
And it's not like you're taking a Carrera to the track every day.
Yeah, even at the track, I don't think it's going to make
Yeah.
that much of a difference. Probably will, but I don't think so.
And the thing is, even the GT car, there are a lot of people who
The touring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who want it without the wing
Yeah.
because it's more subtle, because it's little more under the radar.
But
you
if I were to buy a GT car, I would definitely have the wing.
know? Yeah,
I wouldn't buy a GT car and not want people to know that I've got a GT car.
I think I would still get a touring.
And I think, to me, I grew up in the era where Mitsubishi Evos, Subaru Imprezas had those
Yeah, fair
big
enough.
wings, and a big wing meant a fast car. The F40, the wing meant a fast car. So to me, a fast car should always have a wing. But now, obviously, no. You get a little wiser with age. So now it has to be a really fast car to require a wing. Otherwise, you really don't need a wing. I think it looks cool.
Okay. Yeah,
No
it does.
question about it. That color, what is the shade green?
Shade green metallic.
Shade green metallic. In pictures, maybe it doesn't photograph as well as it looks in the metal.
Yeah, it's
I
constantly shifting.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful color. That Porsche sticker on the doors, that's optional, by the way. So, a lot of options on that. Anyway, we digress.
Yeah.
Reached Jaisalmer that night.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why we went to Jaisalmer, which
Yeah.
was...
We wanted to drive the Bharatmala road. So the Bharatmala road is this road we discovered after lockdown. And we took the Thars there first. We were doing a Thar to Thar story when the new Thar had just launched post-lockdown. It was our first big road trip
Yep.
after lockdown. And we were like, okay, we'll go there. We'll see what it's like. We went there. Okay, you have the desert, but then you have this phenomenal road, which is running through the desert for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers, perfectly surfaced. It's not a dual carriageway, it's a single carriageway, but it's wide. You've got runoff, you've got like space. It's insane. And it's not just arrow straight. It's arrow
It's
straight.
got some lovely
Yeah,
corners.
it's arrow straight for a long time, but
Yeah.
it does have corners here and there, and long sweeping ones, slightly tighter ones, and
Beautifully surfaced. Now, it has got a lot of cow dung on it. So that's something you got to be careful of. And woe be us. But as filmmakers, you got to keep cleaning the cars. You got to keep wiping shit off the cars. But that's a small price to pay for that road.
100%.
And we left, I think, at 5 in the morning. Got there by 6:15.
It was still dark.
Still dark.
Yeah.
And then you wait for the sun to rise. And the sunrises, sunsets in Rajasthan. It's a place that's still not afflicted by this bane of pollution that we
Yeah.
have across the
There's
country.
nothing
So
over
you have
there.
clear skies. You have these beautiful sunrises over the desert sands. These cars idling, the lights on, photographers busy taking the pictures. We guys have nothing to do except look at the sight unfolding in front of us. Yeah, it's still, thinking about it, it still gives me goosebumps.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that-
days like that, just you wonder what good karma have you done to be able to do stuff like this, you know?
Yeah, the cars going brr, 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 brr. Obviously the
Yeah.
Macan is not making any noise, some birds chirping,
Yeah.
nobody, absolutely nobody over there.
Some cattle with their bells going dang,
Yeah,
dang, dang,
in
dang.
the distance, ding, ding, ding. Yeah. It's a sight and a
Yeah.
sound and a experience that, it makes you, like you said, it makes you thankful for the job that you have.
Yeah.
And then obviously you have this great road, you have a full tank of fuel, you got fully batteries juiced up, you obviously drive down that road. No?
Yeah.
You enjoy the cars. And that brings me to a point that I was thinking about it while driving there, that it's only got 380 bhp. My 15-year-old 911, okay, that's the S, but that's got more power. So I like, what's the pace of progress? But you think about it, and this is enough. You don't need more. With the turbo, for instance, we
Yeah.
drove the turbo a couple of months ago, and it blows you away with its performance. But also, it's on the edge. It scares you. At
Yeah.
times, it's like it's too fast. With this, you can use all of the power all of the time. It doesn't scare you, yet it has enough power to make the tail wiggle a
Yeah.
bit. You do feel that rear engine stance of the 911. Obviously, over the years, that rear engine characteristic has been mellowed down, toned down to make it more palatable to a wider audience. You don't want to scare people who are new into sports cars and it does something funny. But when you really drive, you can still feel that 911 DNA.
Yeah.
That still comes alive.
The front end is still a little light.
Yeah.
The rear still has plenty of traction on
Yeah.
exits. You feel it, yeah.
You feel it, and you go to this kind of a road, and it doesn't overpower your sensations. It's not too much. It's
Yeah.
like, no, oh God, no, we need to calm down.
Yeah.
You can drive it. You can, you have a grin all through. You're
There's-
smiling. You're enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
It's all the power you will need.
There's that saying, right? It's better to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow.
Yeah.
And okay, in the grander scheme of things, a 911 Carrera is still fast. But
Mm.
within the sports car
Mm.
segment and supercar segment, it's a slower.
You have 400 plus bhp AMG hot hatches now.
Exactly. So it's relatively quick, not
Yeah.
super fast, and
Yeah.
that just allows you to drive it harder.
Mm.
You enjoy a car when you drive it hard. There's no point putting your foot on the gas for 2 seconds and then getting off because
Yeah.
you're too fast. You know,
Yeah.
but you can actually hold it in, shift a gear, keep it held, shift another gear, and then let off. That's a lot more enjoyable experience.
Yeah. So we also did a drag race for whatever it's worth. Obviously, the Macan creamed the 911.
Yeah, because that Macan has 600 and something horsepower and 1130 Nm of torque.
it's mad. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the Macan. So we did the drive,
Yeah.
Bharatmala Road, got back to Jaisalmer,
Mhm.
and we had a quick, actually not a lunch. We had
Yeah,
lunch
like
at 5 o'clock.
Dinner lunch.
Yeah, we had a dinnerish lunch, and then we headed off so the next stop was the Statue of Unity.
Yeah.
So instead of going back to Jodhpur and all of that, we headed down via Barmer
Yeah.
and spent the night in Sanchur.
Sancho, yeah.
And that's your opportunity to talk about the Macan Turbo
Yeah.
Electric.
Man, that Macan is something else. You know, I've driven it before in Dubai. But Dubai roads are brilliant and very strict speed limits, and you're still getting familiar with the roads and all. You don't really push it too much, and you're not really sure how it will deal with Indian conditions because our conditions are so unique. Come here, get into the car, and it just blows you away. It does everything. What do you want it to do? Okay, you think about what it's a family car. It has a space. It has a practicality. You can load up the boot. You can load up the back seat. We were 4 people in the car at all times. We had cameras lying around. We had equipment lying around. We had bags. We had bottles. We had everything in the car. Never felt cramped or anything like that. So space.
It's almost as spacious as the Cayenne.
Maybe back seat is not as spacious, and maybe it's not as wide, but
But it is bigger than the ICE Macan.
it's bigger than the ICE Macan. And the EV architecture, because you don't have a center tunnel, you've got a lot of storage in the center. You can fit a proper bag in the center bin. You know, it's big. So space and comfort was there. But the performance, 600 and whatever horsepower, I forget the number, 1130 Nm of torque. It's ballistic. 3.3 seconds to 100. What cars do 3.3
It's like
seconds?
supercar territory.
Yeah,
That's
that's
like a
proper
Huracan, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Proper supercar
Yeah.
territory. You think about what cars do 3.3 seconds. It's nuts. And you feel it because it's that instant EV torque, you know. So it just slams you and you're gone. Like, it's nuts. And it was running 22-inch wheels, and I thought it would be stiff, but it's not.
It's not. So at night, obviously Aatish wanted to drive the 911. Who doesn't want to drive 911? So I jumped into the Macan,
Yeah.
and it's so effortless. It's effortlessly quick.
Yeah.
There is zero effort in driving it.
Mhm.
It doesn't tire you.
No.
The seats are great.
Yeah,
The
no vibration,
interiors are
no
very
noise.
nice.
Yeah.
And Porsche does not do all this unnecessary jing-jang
Yeah.
stuff. It's just very clean, simple, but so high quality.
Yeah.
It just screams money.
Electric sound is an optional extra. So if you want the car to sometimes make sound when you want it to, you have to pay more money for it.
It's just such a nice, relaxing place to cover miles. And the range also is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, we never.
That was another thing that was really impressive. EVs, when you gun them, like you really gun them, range tanks.
Yeah.
This thing was giving me consistently 440 kilometers. I drove it aram say, okay, give me a little more, but it never dropped below 440 kilometers of range, on a full charge. So the efficiency was around 4.3, 4.4 the whole time. We were driving. We were not,
Yeah, if you're chasing a 911,
Yeah,
a
on good roads.
On good roads is a quick car.
Yeah.
So you have to keep pace.
We were loaded up, full luggage, full occupancy, gunning it for 40 kilometers.
Actually, the 911 had to keep pace with the Macan.
I think so,
Let's be
yeah.
honest about it.
Yeah, even I think so at this point.
With the 911, now, obvious question you're going to ask is, how does it deal with bad roads? And bad roads you are going to find.
Yeah.
There is no, like you have to hunt for a good road.
Yeah.
You don't have to hunt for bad roads. We spent that night in Sanchor.
Yeah.
Okay. Up until then, okay, it was not dual carriageways, but they were good roads.
Yeah.
There were speed breakers, used nose lift, some of the nasty ones you crab, and it did not touch anywhere.
Yeah.
Sanchor, spent the night, decent hotel, got out of the hotel in 2 minutes?
Yeah.
In
Easy.
2 minutes, the road disappeared.
Yeah.
They were making a huge flyover across the town, and it was just off-road.
Yeah.
We did a reel on that. We put it up. That reel has gone viral. It's on, like, people still send me links where other people have just dhappoed a reel and put it without even credits. I don't know why people do that. No, you should please have the courtesy to at least credit where you've whacked the reel from. But they put it up everywhere.
Yeah.
Now everybody's talking about, you spend 2 crores on a car and you don't have any, the government does not give you roads to drive on. That was at Sanchor, that reel. You had to go and drive at walking pace.
Yeah. You were crawling.
With the 911, there's no question about not seeing a pothole and flying through it, or not seeing a speed breaker and flying over it. You'll leave an axle behind. Yeah. You have to be aware. Over bad roads, you have to crawl. So you back traffic up, they get irritated. Well, they have a nice view of the aero kit. But that's a fact. But you crawl over those bad patches, just be careful, and you will have zero problems. Yeah. We weren't carrying a spare tire. Okay, just for peace of mind, we carried a puncture repair kit, the plugs and the screwdriver type thing. We did not have a single puncture, not a sidewall cut, no scuffing of the wheels, no nothing. You exercise a little bit of mechanical sympathy and you're fine. You are done. You have zero problems.
So the 911 has an advantage. It has a short wheelbase.
Yes.
And because of that, it actually deals with most things. If you have the nose lift, you lift up the front, which is probably the part that's most prone to scraping, the front overhang. Yeah. Lift up the front. Once that front is cleared, it'll clear most things. Yeah. It's only big speed breakers that you have to crab over.
And it's not the big speed breakers, it is the very sharp speed breakers. Yeah. The ones which have got no runway.
Yeah.
So that's the ones that are a problem. And that's not that, you don't see that all that often.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you see that. So it clears, speed breakers aren't a problem.
Yeah.
And another trick with the 911 is you remember that the tires are very wide.
Yeah.
So potholes, when you're trying to dodge between two potholes, you can drive it in a way that half your tire is over the pothole, but the other half is on the proper side. So you can drive over the pothole.
Yeah. It won't dip its wheel.
It won't dip its wheel into it. It won't crash into the pothole. So there is a technique of driving 911s which actually takes care of everything. Yeah. So that terrible patch around Sanchor, then crossing into Gujarat, that was also like quite a terrible patch. You had to crawl, but that was maybe half an hour.
Yeah.
All put together, maybe 45 minutes.
That Sanchor patch was literally 2 kilometers.
Yeah.
You know, that was very bad for 2 kilometers.
Yeah.
And it was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you're easy.
Yeah.
And we got to Ahmedabad, then Baroda.
Yeah.
In fact, we went all the way to the Statue of Unity
Yeah.
and spent the night there. So it actually can deal with just regular driving on Indian highways.
Yeah. But the next day was difficult. So
Statue of Unity, that was your first time.
that was my first time, yeah.
And you were blown away, right?
Yeah. Insane. You know, I mean, the statue, you know, you go there, you know it's big. It's the biggest statue in the world. It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
What I didn't expect was how beautiful that place would be.
Mm.
You know, we got there again for sunrise. We were trying to get there early, get the morning shots in, and then continue our drive. We showed up there. The guards, they were like, no, nothing doing. Y'all can't go in. It's a Monday. Monday it's shut apparently. So we said, no, we've come all the way. We need to go this, that. And then they said, okay, there's one bridge from where you can see the statue in the distance. You go there and shoot. Went to that bridge. It was really far away. Then we went a little further on the other side of the reservoir inside. And, you know, at that point, again, it's like Bharatmala Road, but a completely different setting. Sun is rising, cars are idling, it's quiet, you can hear some birds. But here you're next to a reservoir. It's calm, it's quiet. There's some crocodiles and wildlife in the water. This giant man, the statue, is overlooking everything that's happening over there. And you've got these mountains which are sort of enclosing this whole scenery inside them. You're literally, it's like its own little world in there, you know. Sun is rising, blues, oranges, yellows, golds. The sky is lit up, and
it's a place that you should visit. There's a lot of this thing that, now why we're doing this and everything, and everybody said it, but it's there now, and it's a place worth visiting.
Yeah, and the natural beauty there, it's genuinely nice. We're in post-winter summer. Things are normally brown and grey and yellow at this point, but there it was lush, green, very nice.
Yeah. And when you go there, make sure, Aatish, what road should they take?
Do not go from the Statue of Liberty straight
Not
towards,
Liberty, Unity.
I said this in the video also. Do not go from the Statue of Unity straight towards Nashik. So what we planned was...
Or straight down.
Yeah.
Don't go straight down. Go back to Baroda.
Correct. So what we planned was from the Statue of Unity, we take the road via Nashik to Pune, because you pass Saputara Ghat, and that was a nice ghat road. We hadn't done any ghat roads on this drive. We had Porsches, we wanted to drive a ghat road.
A windy road.
Proper winding mountain road. You know, I should have followed instructions and come back to the highway to Baroda, gone down the Bombay Ahmedabad highway and turned off at Navsari, which is what I was told to do. But I said, you know what, we've done 1600 kilometers so far. How bad can it be? You know, how bad can it be? Very bad. Right after the Statue of Unity, roads get bad. So around the Statue of Unity, they made the roads brilliantly. It's like you're in the US, the roads are so good. Then immediately after that 3-kilometer radius, goes to shit. And then I think 160 kilometers or so, 4 hours
of torture.
It was just bad roads. And I don't mean bad roads in like how you drove kacha roads. These were tarmac roads, but they were pothole ridden. I think it was the rain, the heat, whatever. They were just broken. So, and it was also very tricky because they had trees over them. The trees were casting shadows, and because of that, you couldn't see potholes. What was a pothole looked like a shadow. What looked like a shadow looked like a pothole. So you just slowed right down. No risk. Just take it easy and drive it aram se. And it's also a traffic heavy road. I don't know what that connects, but there was a lot of traffic on that road. There were trucks, there were buses, there were people, there were cars, bikes, and you can't make progress because to overtake, you pick up speed. You pick up speed, you're not sure what's in front of you. You just, you slow right down. And for 4 hours, my God, I questioned whether I was doing what I was doing at that point in time. So yes, there are places where a sports car will be a challenge in India. There's no getting away from that.
But the car didn't break. No. The car didn't have a puncture.
No.
There was nothing. Obviously, Macan, zero problems.
Macan was flying. Macan was I was driving the 911 for some time and Shalin was in the Macan. Shalin was like, hey, chalna. I'm like, bro, can't do anything. Then we swapped and Shalin drove the 911, I drove the Macan. And the second you're in the Macan, the roads immediately look smoother. Because you're sitting higher up. Those big potholes suddenly look like nothing and you're just flying. You know? So
it's there are challenges, but there are also opportunities because after that we turned off that road, got back onto the good road, and then the Saputara Ghat.
Yeah. Saputara Ghat was something else. First time driving that ghat. But phenomenal roads. So it's partially through a wildlife sanctuary.
Reserve,
So it's really green, really beautiful, tree cover. New roads. I think it was freshly surfaced because that tarmac was that black tarmac, and it's like fresh tarmac.
Which photographs also really well.
Yeah. There was no line markings, nothing on it. So like even if you see the pictures, it's just black tarmac, But it's really nice tarmac. We had a great time. I wanted to charge the Macan a little bit before the ghat, but that one charge, we had trouble with one charger on the whole trip. And that was the one before Saputara Ghat. It just wouldn't connect for some reason. So the Macan got onto Saputara Ghat with about 50% of range. And similarly, the 911 also was on half a tank of fuel. But Nasik wasn't that far away. And we could drive. We could drive pretty hard. I think for some patches we took it easy. And when we were sure, okay, we have enough range,
gunning it.
We gunned it. And both those cars on that road, my God. I was mostly in the Macan at that point. That Macan handles. I don't know how they do it, Porsche. This is a big car. It's a heavy car. I think it's almost 3 tons.
Yeah, 2.6 or something.
Yeah. It's a heavy car. Loaded up fully again.
Yeah.
But it handles. Okay, it has rear wheel steer. Okay, the batteries are low down. Plus it's a Porsche. They know their steering.
And P0 tires. My
God. Thinking those guys in the car was like, okay, can we calm down because we're moving everywhere. Equipment is in the back. Like there's too much going on right now. So back off a little bit. And the 911 in front of me on a winding road, that it looks so purposeful.
It looks at home.
Yeah.
That's home. That's the natural environment. You show the 911 a set of twisties and it just comes alive. So as much as you drive it on a straight road, you're cruising at 120 at the speed limit at a lot of these expressways. It's peaceful, it's calm. Okay. If I have to criticize, I will say that the tire noise is a fair bit. That tire roar can drown out the optional Bose sound system.
100%.
So in fact, that's the only thing I can criticize.
Yeah.
The seats are great. The ergonomics are brilliant. The space is enough. For two people can only fit in a 911. And how much luggage are 2 people going to carry?
Correct.
So your airline, those cabin bag sized suitcases, those fit in the nose.
More than a couple of them fit in the
more
nose.
than a couple.
Yeah.
In fact, it's bigger than the older 911s.
Yeah.
It's got a bigger boot. And the space behind you on the child seats to throw soft bags on. So there's enough space. There's space for your phone in the center armrest. There's space for 1 liter bottles in the door pockets. There are cup holders.
Yeah.
Unlike some cars, there are cup holders out here. So you can put your, pick up a coffee, you can put it over there. Pick up a juice or something, you can put it over there. So in terms of practicality, usability, wired Apple CarPlay. I don't know why no wireless. But wired Apple CarPlay. I believe Android Auto doesn't work. No, it works.
No, Android
wired Android Auto also. Sunroof.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm getting at is that it's got all these creature comforts that you can spend hours and hours and hours in the driver's seat in the car. And then when you get the set of corners, that's where the 911 earns its name. It earns its bread.
Absolutely.
That's where it comes alive. It puts that smile on your face. Then you start feeling everything that you read so much about 911s.
Yeah.
And then you say, oh yeah, I read about this and I felt that.
Yeah.
And this is what it's doing. And people talk about that rear engine balance and the engine hanging off behind the rear axle and giving the rear that unimaginable traction which you can't get in any other sports car. And then when you gun it out of corners and you're like really on the edge and you're expecting the tail to come out and you're expecting to put in a bit of lock. And where is it? It's not there.
Yeah.
Of course, then you start pushing even more and then you start feeling it and then it all just comes naturally. In fact, it's like the car teaching you and it's like it's holding your hand and taking you along this journey where it's taking you through its repertoire, its range of abilities that, okay, I've done this, you've noticed this, great. Come on, now let's do this. And now let's do this. And now come on, now you push yourself. No, give it some more gas. No, be a little braver. Grow a pair. That's the car's telling you to do all this. And then you're doing it and you're like, you're learning through the journey. Yeah. And that's what I think the 911 is all about. That's why, to me, it is the greatest sports car in the world. It's not the fastest. Today, a BMW M2, Now that is a mad little puppy. Yeah, it's fast. It is it's
Ferocious.
aggressive. It's
Yeah.
ferocious.
Yeah.
It's all over the place when you push it. The tail is like tail happy.
Yeah.
So you can get more thrills in other cars, but the nuance,
Yeah.
that granular feedback that it gives you, the tutorial that the 911 takes you through, the sports car ownership journey. I don't think anything else does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
And that's what after doing 2,500 kilometers on this final leg, you're still learning. With other cars, by the second day you're done. You've learned everything. Especially at this stage in our careers, like we are perceptive. You've learned 95% is done.
Yeah.
But you're learning, and you'll and ah. In fact, later on, I realized that. So at the start, when we were doing our bites to camera, I said that this engine does not feel turbocharged.
Yeah.
Right? It is a turbocharged engine, but it doesn't feel turbocharged because where's the turbo lag and everything? Afterwards, I realized that between like when you're cruising and then you do feel, you can feel that you're out of the turbo's range and then the turbo is spooled back on.
And just
so you can feel that lag.
That strength of the mid-range.
Yeah.
That punch.
Yeah.
You realize it's
So
turbocharged.
you do feel that times when you are out of the band. You've fallen out of the turbo band, and then it takes that split second to get back up there for the turbo to spool back on. So then you notice, now I've noticed that, this is a turbocharged engine. This is all those, those intangibles.
It's a learning curve
that,
almost.
And that's 911 ownership, and that's why it's the call us fanboys, but we've done this drive. We've proven that it can be used on the road. I must also say, mad props to Porsche for giving us the car and letting us do this drive.
Yeah.
I worked at Porsche, when Porsche transitioned to the Volkswagen group from the earlier importer. And those days, the car would come with a driver, and in the evening, the car would come back. There was no keeping the car overnight and nothing like that. No, it was like very strict, rigid in terms of only can do this and now they gave us the keys and said, yeah, okay. And there were no particular hurry to take the cars back. And that's why we planned this whole road trip via Jaisalmer. And Delhi to Pune doesn't take 6 days.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Right? But
that's
why we're taking it for 6 days. They said, okay, fine, take it for 6 days.
Yeah.
And they are also so confident in the cars. This is the brand new car. There's not been a single media drive of the 911 in India. Okay, normally anybody else said, no, let me finish with all the media drives because you never know what is going to happen on the road. Car will get screwed up and all that, and then all the media drives are done.
Yeah.
But they were like, these are the first 2 cars, first of the Macans, first of the 911s, take it and drop it back at Porsche.
See you on the other side.
Yeah. And we drove back, went to our office, showed the car to everybody in the office. And Porsche Center Pune is just across the road from our office. Yeah. And we went off to Porsche Center Pune, dropped off the keys. And then we were a little greedy and we said, no, we'll give it to you tomorrow because we want to take it home and show our friends and family also. Yeah. And next morning they picked up the cars and then it headed straight off to Coimbatore for the Autocar track day. Yeah. It didn't need anything. Apart from...
There was one thing. There was one thing that it needed.
It needed some sellotape.
Yeah. So I don't know when this happened, but at some point in the drive, this 911 picked up a crack on the windscreen.
A stone chip. And the stone, it hit the windscreen at the point where the windscreen meets the body.
Yeah, so it was like exactly this where the roof is and the windscreen meets. It was this gap where it hit. So I think it hit the edge of the windscreen.
Yeah, it hit the edge. And
that probably, because there was a shatter point there. Yeah. And then the crack had spread a little bit down.
When you gave it back, there was a 2-inch crack in the windscreen.
But can I be honest with you? We've road tripped very often across India. And a cracked windscreen is probably the most common problem we've had.
Yeah, because first of all, there's so much of gravel on the roads.
Yeah.
It's not like you can keep 2 feet, 3 feet distance between. When you have to overtake a truck, you have to overtake a truck. And these things happen. Yeah. So if you have a nice car, put a film on the windscreen.
Yeah.
It's in India, it's very, very important.
I've cracked windscreens a fair bit. I've come back from so many drives. Sorry, just cracked windscreen.
So
and it's not your fault.
It
happens.
So that's that one thing. Like when you reach Pune, I was like, dying to call Porsche. I said, see the car's returned, spick and span, not one scratch, what do you think? And then we saw that. Like, shit. But then the car went for autocast track day. I believe it's done the full track day, has come back, and that crack hasn't increased in size.
Okay. Yeah.
It's the same.
Good.
The new windscreen has come. It's stuck in customs.
There's no curbs at
There are no
coast.
curbs at coast. Yeah.
To
So I
make
guess
the-
I guess yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm also guessing Naren Karthik is driving and all that. So he
Yeah.
would have been driving, right?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
so the crack hasn't increased. So that's cool. So no drives have been stopped or slowed down because of our mega drive. And such a cool story that's the cover of the next issue of Evo. Should we actually put out the cover?
Yeah, put it out. Why not? I mean, it's going to come out in 2 days.
Yeah, okay. So if you're watching this on YouTube, this is the cover.
Yeah.
We've also got a poster on this.
Yeah.
Posters are back. We've been saying this for a couple of months now. Posters are back in Evo. We got the 911 and Macan going through Rajasthan.
And this is a special poster. I mean, we've all had posters of cars in different places around the world, but this is a 911 in India doing a 2,500 kilometer road trip in India. I think it's a very cool poster to have. It's going to be on my wall for sure.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's there. That's the latest issue of Evo. And I think this podcast has gone on for long enough.
Yeah. Do we have time to talk about our second drive?
I think so. The next drive we did was the Kashmir to Kanyakumari in the Tata Curve.ev. And I think there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah.
Charging infrastructure, the challenges that we faced, the car, the people on the drive. The people on the drive is like a big part of it because the cars can take it.
Yeah.
But human beings can't take 75 hours and 35 minutes behind the wheel. Nobody can do that unless you're made of something else. So the people on the drive. So that's on next week's Evo India podcast.
Okay.
Where we talk about the Tata Curve.ev, Kashmir to Kanyakumari, where we set the fastest EV record. That'll be there in the next issue of the magazine, where a full detailed story. We got a full video coming up. In fact, there's a full video on the 911 drive also from Delhi to Pune. So we got a really nice video where we talk about our experiences, what we felt, what we learned, the places that you can go to and drive these fabulous cars. You do spend a fabulous amount of money on these cars.
Yeah.
These cars aren't cheap. Like 2 crores is the entry point to 911 ownership, and you can't buy a 911 at 2 crores. You have to put in options. So you're looking at nearly 3 crores on road for a 911. It might be an everyday sports car, but it's not an every person's sports car.
Sadly.
Yeah, that's the second criticism.
Yeah. Maybe.
Tire noise too much and price too much.
much.
But that apart, what a drive. Yeah. So
I'm
if
still
you,
pinching myself.
Yeah. If you have any questions on road tripping with nice cars, sports cars, maybe a tuned car, maybe you got a Honda City and you got a tuned Honda City, drop it in the comments. But we are here to tell you that you can drive these cars. You will find great roads. You will enjoy the drive. You will have to be careful.
Yeah.
There are places where there will be bad roads. You have to be careful. You have to exercise caution. You have to exercise mechanical sympathy. But when you drive it, like car guys should be driving their nice cars, India has a lot to offer. So if anybody tells you where are the roads to drive these cars, you tell them, uncle, auntie, please.
Send them a link to this podcast while you're
watch Evo India. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Like I said, if you have any questions, comments, drop it below. Share this with like-minded enthusiasts and hit the road. There's a lot to enjoy on the road, and there's plenty that you can learn and you can experience while driving across the country.